Hey everyone, welcome back. Arc Trading here, heading into, we'll just finish out week 3. Another green week, which is nice. This is actually the 6th green week in a row, so can't complain about that. Price action overall was a little bit wonky this week. We had a couple London sessions where it just created this massive expansion. So usually after London expands, there's some choppy price action, but overall we executed what we saw. So I got 8 out of 10 trades for the week. Some I'm going to highlight that were not part of the data because I didn't take them, even though they're actually all pretty good. Just reasons why I didn't take. And just to start off, so Monday we had a holiday, so market was closed. I know futures was still open, but I personally do not trade bank holidays. So going into Tuesday, January 16th, right after open, we did have this really nice setup. It was caught on stream. I personally did not take this, but it was A plus. Just to go over it. So usually we like to wait until after opening, about 10-15 minutes, just so price could settle down a little bit. And we displaced down. This yellow box right here is a 1 minute fair value gap. Pushed up into it, rejected out of it. We had this 30-second break of structure right here. Right over there. Fair value gap, tapped right into that golden pocket and just melted down for 12 points. So just to kind of go over the risk management, 6 points is TP1 break even, so you can take off a contract there. 12 points is second TP, and then TP3 is 18 points right there. So this would have hit full TP. Overall, really nice setup. Only reason I didn't take this is usually I like to let off the gas, especially the first day back in the first 15 minutes, but it was A plus. This wick over here before entry I overanalyzed it a little bit. I just thought it was like a little bit of a manipulation to push a little higher, but overall great setup. This is not part of the data since I did not take it, but a lot of people on the stream caught this, so really nice way to start off the week. Second setup to go over, we did not take this, even though this one ran for a full TP as well. This one right here, we inversed this 1 minute, repriced into it, but right where that reprice is would have been your entry on the 15 seconds. So looking at the 15 seconds on the right of my screen over here, we had this break of structure, okay, pushed above the inversion. So like I said, the inversion would have closed right at that second candle. So unless you're really quick, usually I'm pretty quick, but just I didn't catch it in time. This was a really nice play as well, so just ran for a full 18 points on that as well. However, heading into AM PM session, so I was actually 4 for 4 for the day, 2 break evens and 2 wins, full wins for me. Now, this was the first trade I actually took, set up around 11:04. We had this is on the 15 seconds. So we did hit this -4 standard deviation up here. Okay. So usually when it taps into that -4, there's going to be some sort of retracement down, typically about equilibrium of the range. So displaced down, this is a 1 minute bearish fair value gap right here, and this was an A plus setup too. It just was a little bit wicky, but we priced up into this 1 minute right here, as you can see over here. We had a break of structure on the 15 second right there. Fair value gap, we were gone on a second candle. This ran for 6 points, so that would have been your TP1 break even. And that was pretty much it until it came back up, which luckily for that 6-point break even, it saved you because this would have gone for a full stop right there. Now, heading into the second trade that I took, this right here, this yellow box, this is actually a 1 minute breaker block. I do use breaker blocks as well. Typically, that works really well too. And since we were pretty bullish on price today, I expect to bounce off this 1 minute breaker block. So we displaced down to that 1 minute breaker block, pushed up. We had this break of structure right over here. Okay, fair value gap formed on the 30 seconds. This tagged me in right on that second candle. This went for 6 points, which is your TP break even. However, right when it went to 6 points, this shot back down a little bit. I keep my break even at +2 ticks. So let's say my entry was at this 16,932.25. As soon as it hits 6 points, it'll put it to 16,932.75. Okay, so tap to break even, and then this actually ran up to your TP2 break even to 12 points. So that was a little unfortunate because that was, in my eyes, this was a really nice setup, but most of the time it's going to work out. Sometimes it's not, and that's okay. Okay, so that was a TP break even right there. Now heading on to the third trade. This was a full TP for me. So we were still in that 1 minute breaker block. On the 1 minute, we did create this kind of like a rate of this low right here and the displacement going up. We did have room, even though we're not bouncing off a bullish fair value gap, there was enough room for it to reprice into that bearish if it wants to go a little bit more down. So we had this break of structure right here. Okay, displaced fair value gap, got it right here. Now this went for your TP1 break even, full TP for me. Now when I say full TP for me, just to reiterate, I'm taking at 6 points, I'm moving to break even +2 ticks. And then my full TP is actually at 12 ticks. Now, if you're following the model, how it's supposed to be is, let's say you're 3 contracts in, you take one off at 6 points, set it to break even, then 12 points, and then full TP is actually 18 points. So this would have been full TP regardless, just explain how I do it. Now, going on to the last and fourth trade, this was a beautiful setup in my opinion. So there was a CISD over here, so change in state of delivery. Okay, I know it's on the 15 seconds, actually on the 30 seconds as well. Pushed up, we created this 1 minute bullish fair value gap. We priced into it, pushed up, break a structure right here on the 15 seconds. Fair value gap, and got in right at that golden pocket in the first candle. Okay, so this would have pushed up to your 6 points, TP1 break even, 12 points for me, and then it fell a little bit short of the 18 points. I think it was like 2 ticks away. Now what I like to do just to gauge how much range we have, if it's going to reprice into a bearish fair value gap, the next 1 minute was right up here. So definitely enough room for it to reach to that bearish fair value gap if it wants to reject it, which it did. So, but plenty of room for that trade. Okay, but this is a beautiful setup. No equal lows, no open fair value gaps down here since this one's repriced. Displaced up, repriced into a 1 minute bullish fair value gap. Displaced up, break structure, fair value gap, entry, full TP. A plus setup. Now heading into Wednesday. Wednesday was specifically tough. Not just due to setups, but I don't like to blame it on luck, but there were just some unlucky moves. No fills on my end, and we'll get into that right now. But I was 3 for 5 on Wednesday. So usually when I do take 2 losses, I am done for the day. This is the second time this has happened, so still results will speak for themselves. Now, before we get into the Wednesday trades, I do want to highlight this one. This was pre-market. Pre-market set up really nicely this week. I think it was like 4 for 4, 3 for 3. We had this 8:30 news driver, okay, displaced down. We created this 1 minute fair value gap, priced into it, and then there was this 30-second setup right here. So priced into it, no equal highs, broke structure, create a fair value gap. You would have taken about like nine points of heat on this one just for it to melt down to your full TP if you're going for 18 points. We didn't take this one. It was a little too early. We're on the screens yet, but this is a really textbook A+ setup right here. Now, heading into the trades we did take. So around 9:52, we did have this CISD over here with a break of structure. Okay, break of structure, fair value gap. We did enter in that golden pocket, and just within a minute, stopped us out. Our main thing is there was room for it to reprice into this bearish 1 minute fair value gap. But overall, didn't see anything wrong with it. Definitely, it was a flip move. So I would take this again. Chances of this working are definitely high, but just today, it didn't. Now heading on to the second trade. This was actually on the 15. Since we did have this rejection up here, there was this break of structure right down here on the 15. This one was a little unfortunate because we did enter in, took some heat on it. It did hit your TP1 at 6 points, then went to break even, and then it just decided to melt right after it for the full 18 points. Right there. Okay, so unfortunate, but it's going to happen. Now moving on to the third trade. This was really unlucky, but I think we could have avoided this one. We missed it, but it did price into a 5-minute bearish fair value gap that we did not see, which was right over here. But we did have this 15-second setup right here. So we have break of structure, no equal lows, fair value gap priced in. It took us out literally to the tick just for it to run up to 18.5 points. Okay, so when I say like today on Wednesday was a little bit on the unlucky side, it definitely was. It's annoying, but that's where your risk management's gonna come in. So this was my second loss already. So for me personally, I was already done with the morning. I knew it was getting a little tougher working it out. Just kind of move on from there. There was this setup over here, which was the fourth trade. I still end up taking this one, but I went lighter on it just because I was already 2 losses down. But I was confident this one because this was A plus. We did open up this bearish fair value gap that it priced into on the 1 minute. It still closed below it. We had a break of structure right here. So entry would have been right there, that golden pocket. Now, this is the first time I seen this. This is on the 15 seconds. So in the first candle, we tapped in for the entry. It went 6 points, so your TP1 break even. And that second candle tapped into entry again and took us out just for it to run down to this 1 minute bullish fair value gap right here. So in our eyes, reprice bearish, created the setup on the 15, room to the 1 minute, and it did exactly that. But like I said, this is the first time I've seen 2 15-second candles hit that entry. And then moving on to this last trade, I did not partake in this one because I think I was just mentally done for the morning. But this was definitely a decent setup because it actually was A plus because we were pricing off this 1 minute bullish fair value gap. There was a break of structure right here on the 15 seconds. Fair value gap, entry over here. You took some heat on it, but this would have ran for your TP1 break even, TP2, and then for the full 18 points right there. So good setup. I didn't take it, but it's gonna happen. Sometimes you have to save your mental capital too, but definitely nothing wrong with it. Now moving on to PM session for Wednesday. I felt a little bit more refreshed. Came back into it, and then just luck persisted, unfortunately. So we had this setup right here on the 15 seconds. We created a 1 minute fair value gap right here, priced into it, pushed up, created this break of structure over here. Now, even though we had these equal lows, I do not mind equal lows where, one, it's within a tight range. So even if it decides to take it, it's still well within my stop. And two, if it's repricing into a 1 minute, I still will take it. If this 1 minute wasn't here, I would not have taken this one. Okay, so just to kind of explain that. So this was an unfortunate trade. Broke structure, got in on this first candle, took some heat on it, but that's fine. This went up to TP1 break even, almost hit 12 points, a point away, drop down to your break even just for it to run up to, ooh, that would have been almost 18 points, by a quarter away from 18 points. Okay, so still not a bad trade at all. Just volatile was a little bit higher on this day. I did want to go over this one right here. This is my last trade. I really wanted to get into this one. There was a 30-second break of structure right here. Draw was definitely higher, so I was confident in that. And this, I had my limit order out, but it did not fill me. So it literally tapped right into that golden pocket right here. No fill, and just shot straight up, hitting all TPs. So after that, I was just, I was like, when I say this day was just unlucky for me, it definitely was. But after that, I was like, you know what? I'm already -2 for the day. Couple of break evens. I'm just gonna call it. Now moving on to Thursday, January 18th. London expanded, made a huge move, as you can see over here. London made a huge move. So usually when there's that expansion, that AM session is going to be really choppy. So no trades taken in the AM on the 15 or 30. Couple setups here and there, but honestly nothing that we were confident in, especially when it's kind of just making these lower lows, these higher highs, lower lows, higher highs. It's just, at that point, it's just seek and destroy. So not probable odds, and we were okay with just sitting back on this one. So no AM trades. AP and I did come back for the PM, and we took just this one shot up here. This moved up to the -4.5 standard deviation from the 1 minute CISD. So usually around this area, that's when price is going to start to throttle a little bit and possibly retrace down. We did see this setup right here on the 30 seconds. Now, reason we took this, so there was a 1 minute bearish fair value gap that formed at the same time. However, we had this 1 minute bullish right here that was definitely a draw, for especially if it was a singular fair value gap, so the draw could definitely be there. It did inverse a 1 minute up here as well. So we saw this break of structure right here, and this was around 3 o'clock. So went the whole day without taking anything, and that's what it takes sometimes. Sometimes you just have to really wait it out. You know, this is a game of patience. I've said this in my last video, but that A plus is right around the corner. Sometimes it's gonna take a little bit longer, but in the end, I'm very proud of the way we executed for this day. Sometimes you just gotta think that you just have one shot, and you have to take it when it presents itself. So inverse the 1 minute fair value gap, open up a bearish, and we still had this 1 minute bullish right here, which was a little bit more than 12 points away. Had this break of structure, fair value gap, tapped in on the second candle. So this would have hit your TP1 break even, TP2, not quite to your TP3, but that's still fine. And then push back up. So that was the only trade we took for Thursday, January 18 on the 32nd. All right, now moving on to Friday. So same situation on Friday. There was a London expansion. Price was even more choppier than Thursday in the AM, so we decided to definitely sit it out. But this in the PM presented itself. So I personally did not take this. AP took this one, and it was A plus. My only thought process was we were just ripping the whole day, making new highs. So for me, when there was no draw on liquidity, I was a little bit more hesitant, but glad he caught this one. It was A plus because we did reprice into a 1 minute bullish fair value gap. We did have this break of structure on the 30-second fair value gap, would have filled you right there. So this went for your TP1 break even, TP2. Not quite up to TP3 because it was stop do break even over here, but overall, considering the conditions on Friday, this was a really nice trade. So going into week 3 for the year, I was 8 out of 10 trades, so 80% win rate. I was a little bit over 3/4% on my PAs and like about 1.5% on my evals, which is great. This was technically, and I was telling AP this was technically the worst week, even though it's been like 6 green consecutive weeks. It was the lowest amount gained. And one thing I want to reiterate is when price is just chopping around and it's expected that it's going to chop around, your probabilities are going to drop tremendously. You have to be okay with just sitting on hands and making sure the conditions are going to be a little bit more in your favor. So overall execution for this week was great. Only red day really was Wednesday. Nothing that I would have really changed. We didn't take any B setups, in my opinion. Uh, a lot. I'm really proud of the people on stream that were being patient. So if you have any questions for AP or myself, please let us know. We do have our Discord. It's definitely growing. So if you like to join in, ask some questions there, feel free. We are AM streaming as of now, Monday through Friday. So at around like 9:20 Eastern in the morning. So yeah, guys, I'll catch you guys next week. Thank you.